And during my journey, I actually learned about breath work. And I know that that is something that you do. And then you also mentioned like conscious connected breath work as a method for healing trauma. Can you actually explain what this is and how it works?
Sure, I can. So, conscious connected breathwork and the style that I do is called clarity breathwork. It's a really beautiful, beautiful, slow, heart opening style of breathwork. It is conscious connected breath. So there's this continuous motion of breathing in and out with no pauses. And it is very conscious. So we're very, you're very aware that you're doing it, not like our everyday breathing that we do. And I think the beauty of the clarity breathwork that I practice is that it really allows the person to really step into their body and step into the breath at a really slow and gradual pace to really get to, certain points of clarity or revelation or release. And I think that, and I've said this last night, I had a new moon breathwork ceremony with my community. And I always say that there is so many different types of breathwork out there, and they are all required. They're all needed for someone. There's so many different styles where it's, yogic breath, so pranayama, or breath work where there is that faster breathing. So there's that like faster shamanic, almost trance-like state that you can get into really quite fast. But what I really love about clarity breathwork is that it goes there slowly. So it actually enables the person who is experiencing the sensations to feel them all. I think that sometimes when we go really fast there and we're breathing quickly and there's that hyperventilation and it's like we need to get there quickly, sometimes we can actually bypass the feelings and the emotion and the trauma that may come up during the session. So I really love that about the style of breath work that I do, just because it allows us to really feel into what's happening in my body. What am I feeling? What are the sensations and who is here for me? What am I experiencing? And what is the power of the breath really trying to teach me today? So I'm a big advocate for breath work and all styles. So, I just definitely don't want to disadvantage any other style because all styles are welcome and necessary. It just depends on the person, where they are on their journey, what they're willing and open to experience, and, just testing out different types of breath work as well.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was giving birth to my children, I was definitely doing breathing. Even when I have like, I used to suffer a lot from anxiety and I would have like these panic attacks. And these panic attacks, I would like hyperventilate and breathe like too fast, where then my whole body was like kind of getting numb. I was like, oh my goodness, this isn't good. And then there's other breathing where I'm just actually just yawning and the body's naturally taking a breath through yawning. So I really enjoy the breathing, but I wanted to find out, what is your favorite breathing technique?
So I would have to say it is clarity breath work, and that's maybe because I'm, in the middle of, taking people through journeys on that. And so I want to say today that's my style. And as again I said, and I kind of want to touch my heart, and it's very heart opening because you're going so slowly. And the way that I've been taught to lead these groups and these individual sessions and to hold space is just from a really beautiful, like feminine style of breathing. So I really love it. And I love the transformation that I see in my clients. I've had people of all ages, I've had people I've had wives, bring in their husbands who have no idea what they've walked into, and friends come in together to experience breathwork together and have no idea as well what is welcoming them on the other side. And I think the beauty of it is just seeing people's faces after and speaking to them after their journeys, and just being so, some people are really gobsmacked by the experience and what they felt. And it's almost like this innocence of reminding themselves, who they are and who they were, and taking away, the self-limiting beliefs and all of the who am I, and, almost going back to that childlike state and that remembering of who we are, and that some of the stuff that we have in the outside world is so small and so not worth bothering about when we remember who we are and why we're here. Because I think sometimes the outside world can really distract us from really, stepping into our body and being really present with ourselves. So to answer your
Yeah.
question, clarity breathwork is the style that I love and that I use at the moment. But who knows, that that may change. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned a husband who's like going inside. What the heck am I doing? His wife is bringing him in because I had just introduced my husband to like breath work not too long ago. And now he's like, hey, do you want to breathe? Hey, do you want to breathe? And then we even introduced my stepson. I know my other sons they kind of like it, but the stepson really enjoys the breathing. And he's like, oh, right. I feel so much better. And it's really important to get them into that practice at a young age, because I have a 7 and 8. No, actually, I'm sorry. He just turned 8, an 8 and a 9-year old. And so with them just actually growing up and learning about like who they are, I think breathing is an important should be an important part of their like morning practice or after school practice or before we go to bed practice. It's so nice to see them actually enjoy it. Actually, just one of them enjoys it. The other two are like, my especially the oldest one. He's like 15, so he's like, I don't know about this stuff. But that is just being teenagers. But I noticed when
Yeah.
I breathe, for me, when I first started breathing, I've been doing it for about a year now, and I do what's called hypno breath work, and it's also like kind of like a guided meditation as well, where we breathe in through the belly and into the chest and out through the mouth, using only our mouth, like and then we can do it whatever pace we want to. But I noticed at first when I started breathing, I was like getting these tingles everywhere. Do you know what that means? And I was getting cold.
Yeah, so when we breathe, it can start to, especially if it's that conscious connected breath and we start to breathe, for longer periods of time, it can actually elicit different feelings within the body and obviously different emotions as well. So depending on the type of breath work you're doing. And so we can start to have those tingling sensations, and we might get hot or cold, and there might be um, different emotions that come up. I've had some people that have started to cry, really, just this enormous amounts of release coming through them. And I've also had people, in like giggling through their session, which is so beautiful to see, the different parts of how we can release. And it is your body releasing, being in that very parasympathetic nervous system state, that you're so calm and relaxed that you're ready to release any tension and stress and anxiety that is within your body. I do find that when it's people's first breathwork journeys, particularly if they're having a deeper session, that they tend to feel those sensations more so during the first sessions than they do if they, continue on with the journey and are breathing every month or every day. So it makes sense that you were feeling those sensations and those feelings, when you started the journey. Yeah, it's great. And I think it's really good that practitioners, prepare people for those feelings. I know that I've had people come into my sessions before, and I think they thought that it was very similar to yogic breathing or some type of meditation. And there's some apprehension there. There's a little bit of fear and anxiety for them, because they're like, gosh, I don't know what I've just walked into. What does she mean that there's going to be these tingling sensations, or I may have a release of emotion? But when a practitioner is, holding space and guiding people and giving them handing over I suppose, the reins to say, this is your breathwork journey. And so if you feel unsafe at all, or if those sensations or those feelings become too much, you can slow the breath down. You can turn on your side, if that feels protective for you, and then rejoin when ready. So I think it's really beautiful. I'm sure that when you first started, that your practitioner or whoever was guiding you, gave you those caveats, because I think if we're not receiving those little words of wisdom at the start of a session, and then we start to feel that the tingling sensation, and in some cases the pain or the bliss, whatever emotion it can be, it can really stop people from really dropping into it if they're not prepared.
Yeah, I remember I was one time I was doing the breathing, and then like I was crying, but it was from joy. I felt very happy. It wasn't a sad cry. It was more like, wow, I've come a long way. I'm feeling so much better. I transformed my life. And so it was like crying of joy. But I've heard some cases where women are just like, because I mostly work with women, and also I'm in this entrepreneur women's group as well. And so a lot of them do breathing exercises and have shared with me that they'll just start crying, like sobbing.